Let me share my screen. All right. All right, does everybody see my slides?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Millian Allen. I am the VP of Communications for the Pre-Medical Society. This is my third year here at GCU, and I'm super excited to be talking to you guys about how to help you succeed in college. I want to start out with a disclaimer that I am by no means perfect at this. I'm still a college student, so obviously I have not experienced everything that I'm going to, but I hope that some of the things that I have experienced will help you do a little bit better than I did. So let's start out with defining success. So it's officially defined as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. And in order for that to be applicable, we have to ask ourselves, um,
Um,
okay, sorry, somebody like joined, I think. I'm not sure. Um, that's okay. So I think one of the ways to help you get to your ultimate purpose or goal is to have smaller goals. And some of the ways that I do that in my life is I have weekly goals, I have semester goals, and then I, of course, have my long-term goal of becoming a physician. And some of my weekly goals for this week were preparing this presentation, doing some studying for my organic chemistry exam, and getting into life group because those are things that I think I need to become the person I want to be in the future. And then one of my biggest semester goals is to get at least a B in organic chemistry. It's a very hard class, so typically it would be an A, but I'm giving myself a little bit of grace there. Um, One of the most important ways to succeed in college, I think, is being organized. And one of the things that has been really helpful for me to stay organized is having a planner. So I highly recommend getting a hardcover planner, not hardcover, but a physical copy because you can, make it your own. You can write it in different colors. You can see everything at once. Whereas on a phone calendar, it's kind of difficult to do that. If you've already gotten used to using a phone calendar, don't change it because it's something that you've understood and it works for you. So that's fine. But it's worked really well for me to have a hard copy. So once you have a planner, obviously you have to make a plan. And I think it's very important to note that you got to make a plan that works for you. Not everybody will work the same way. I like to have a lot of colors in my planner, but some people might not need to do that. And then another thing is you got to master the plan. But something that's important to note is that obviously things come up in life and you're not ever going to have a perfect plan, especially on your first try. So if you have to adapt it, use some whiteout or whatever, as you'll see in my planner in the next slides. That's totally okay. Adapting to changes that you need to make is a very important life skill. So yeah, I just think that's something important to note. So this is my planner. In the left picture, you can see my
I
over
want to see the
for the.
slide. Excuse me. The presentation isn't showing up.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
Yeah.
let me change that.
We're here looking at Brady Bunch picture.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm really sorry about that. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you guys want me to go back so you can see the slides? It's not super vital. It's just kind of the things that I said. So yeah, get the planner, make the plan, master it. Okay. So this is my planner. I'm so sorry about that issue. So like I said, on the left is my monthly overview. On the right is the weekly overview. I cross out the day and the date because for me it's not super important. I like to use each section for each class. And then I also like to have a specific color for each class so that when I look at the monthly overview, if I have something that's labeled exam 1 for more than one class, I know which class it's due on which day, if that makes sense. Another thing you'll see is that I have little symbols next to each assignment. And if you look on the monthly overview, each day has its own symbol. So the symbols represent me wanting to complete it by that day. And then once I finish the assignments, I like to put a checkbox next to it because it just helps me feel accomplished. It's like I did something, like good job, Malia. And then I also like to cross out the days. I don't know why. It's just fun. It makes me feel like I'm getting closer to a break. So yeah. Have any of you guys used a planner? Have any suggestions on that so that we can all share? Go ahead, John.
In high school, they gave us all mandatory planners, and I actually wrote pretty much everything notable about any day into that planner.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into the habit of writing anything down in my planner so that I can remember days that happens and when stuff is due.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly how I am too. If you can see everything, then you're less likely to forget it. So that's awesome. Okay, anybody else, or shall I move on? All right, let's get going. Uh, all right, so the next thing we're going to discuss is creating a routine. Creating a routine is helpful for a lot of reasons. The main one being that it eliminates stress. If you know what you're supposed to be doing the next day, you have everything scheduled, organized into how you want to do it, when you want to get it done, you're not going to be super stressed about it because you already have that time set aside for those assignments or that activity, whatever it might be. As a result of that, it improves your sleep because, sometimes when you're laying in bed, you're like, oh crap, shoot, what do I have to do tomorrow? Like, what needs to be done? But if you already have your routine set, then that's not something that you're super worried about because you already know. Also, too, when you have less stress and you're sleeping better, your overall health is better, which I think that's kind of obvious. Sleeping is important. It keeps you healthy. It gives your mind a break. Less stress means your heart is healthier. So yeah, just overall, it's going to help you be healthier. This is what my routine looks like. Of course, this is a very general overview. Each day has its own challenges and things that happen, but I like to get up at 6 a.m., get homework done, get classes started, you know, and before I get classes done or start working on homework, I like to do a daily Devo, read a few chapters of the Bible just to get my head and my heart right for the day, get, that right mindset that life's not about me, it's all for God. Um, so yeah, that's how I like to start my days off. Get some homework done, do classes if I have classes on that day. If any of you guys saw my Instagram story on the pre-med club, when I do my lunch breaks, I like to also have a mental break. So I'll maybe watch some Netflix, talk to friends, read a book, whatever, just so that I don't have to be super focused on school the entire day. Um, and then after that, I'll either go work out or if I have some volunteers time scheduled or whatever that might look like I said, this is very general. Um, I'll do those things and then I'll come back, do more homework. If I have meetings for my RA role or pre-med club or whatever I have meetings for, I'll do that in the evening. Then I have dinner. This is another time that I like to use as a break if I've been doing homework all day, especially. I'll go eat with my roommates, or maybe I'll watch some more TV, whatever it might be, for that day. And then after dinner, I'll study for a little bit, and then I shower, which is honestly the most rejuvenating part of my day. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but showering is the best. I'll sometimes listen to like a motivational podcast. It's just, a good time. And then try to get to bed by 10 p.m. And then I'll talk about sleep cycle a little bit later, but it's really important to have a time that you wake up and you go to bed because it just keeps your brain on that cycle and you get tired at 10, wake up at 6, then your whole day is ahead of you and you have that whole time to do whatever you need to do. Anybody have any suggestions on their routine or improvements to mine or whatever? Nope. Okay.
How do you do your daily devotion quickly and before class?
Well, I don't necessarily do it quickly. It usually takes me about half an hour. Don't want to rush through it because obviously during my Devo, I want to be able to hear from God if He wants to speak something to me, and I want to kind of start my day a little slowly so that, it's not super rushed the whole time. So that's another reason why I wake up at like 6 or sometimes 5:30. just so that I have that time that I need to get my reading done for the day. So, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So the next thing that will help you in your classes specifically is knowing how you learn. Obviously, everybody learns different. And I think if you know the way that you learn the best, then you're going to use your study time to the best of your ability. It's going to be the most efficient way that it can be. Um, if reading doesn't help you, don't waste your time reading. And by that, I'm not saying don't prepare before class, because you absolutely should be prepared before class. You should know a little bit about the information you're going to discuss. But if reading doesn't help, watch some YouTube videos, look through your professor's PowerPoint if it's posted early. There's a lot of different ways that you can learn the material before class that does not involve reading, if that doesn't work for you. If it does, do it, but it doesn't work for me. So a lot of you have probably heard of the 3 different learning types. There's auditory, visual, and tactile, and knowing what learning type you are, or which of them, because you can be more than one, is, I think, very important to knowing how you learn. So auditory, obviously you got to hear stuff. Lecture will be helpful. If you repeat things out loud, you say definitions, or you read out loud the actual textbook, that could help you. Watching videos will probably help you as well. For visual learners, PowerPoints are probably pretty helpful. If you make your own charts, tables, drawings, things like that, it'll probably stick in your head a little bit better. I know that drawing pictures for me helps me to visualize information, especially like biological processes. Things like that can get a little bit complicated. And if you can see them, it's sometimes helpful. Lastly, we got tactile. This one's a little bit more difficult, I know, but if you just get your body involved, it's going to help you. So maybe if you're learning the bones of the body, get up, move around, point to the different places, and that's going to help you know, okay, this is where this one is. That's where that one is, So do any of you guys not know your learning type? Because I have this this quiz, and I will put it in the chat at the end of the presentation. Actually, I'll just do it right now. So that you all can take it. Hold on a second. Okay, there you go. Definitely recommend taking that quiz. I took it just the other day, and I learned that I'm 35% auditory, 35% visual, and 30% tactile. So I basically have to do everything, which makes sense. It's definitely been that way through my entire college career. I've had to do all of that stuff. So yeah, definitely recommend taking that test. Does anybody have any suggestions on different examples of learning for any learning type? I gave some brief examples, but does anyone have specific ones?
Yeah, I can speak on that a little bit.
Okay.
So a great way that you can do auditory is, like, I know a lot of people have made different songs for their classes, or paired it with some instrumentals to their favorite songs to memorize their, especially like amino acids or periodic table really fast. And I know a lot of people, for visual, they add a lot of drawings to their notes on the side, especially like during classes or during their own study times, just so it's more visually appealing and it pops out to them with different highlighters. And then tactile, just as Malia was saying, was there's a lot of touching, a lot of feeling, a lot of 3D models being used, and a lot of hands-on things, just to remember those key informations.
Oh, awesome. I like the songs. I haven't actually done that, but that's a great idea. All right. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on. The next thing we're going to be talking about is procrastination. Procrastination is terrible. We've all been there though, honestly, but we got to learn how to overcome it, because it's just going to promote laziness and it's going to make us forget our ultimate goals. So before we actually talk about it, I just wanted to give you guys some motivation from Ben Franklin. He says, "Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today." It's a very famous quote. I'm sure you've probably heard it. But yeah, you just want to make sure that you're using the day as best as you can and try not to be lazy about anything because that's going to hurt you in the end. This is a question that I actually want to ask you guys. Why do we procrastinate? I think when you know your reasoning behind an action, it makes it a lot easier to overcome it and change it and make it better. So, do you guys have specific reasons why you procrastinate?
I would think as a coping mechanism for boredom,
Yeah.
which is the same for everyone. Because, and especially when everyone's minds are so stimulated, they always have to have a stimulant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Anybody else? There's so many, guys. Come on. Gotta be more than being bored.
Oh, I definitely, if my favorite show comes out and I don't want to study for an exam, I'm just like, you know what? Is 30 minutes really gonna improve my grade that much?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, well, we'll keep moving on. Boredom is my first point, so good job, John. If we're not super excited about the material, it's not something that you're going to want to spend a lot of time on. Another one is it's frustrating. And then my next one is difficult, so they kind of go together. The information is really hard. You don't understand it. It makes you angry. I get that. OChem is hard. I don't understand it sometimes. So yeah, but this last one I want to spend a little bit of time on, lacking personal meaning. If you ever feel like a class is not super relevant, I've been there. You guys are probably all in Sci 150. That class to me was a big waste of time because it didn't feel super relevant to becoming a doctor. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you have to have a long-term mindset. Think about your goals, your ultimate goal of becoming a doctor. And if you think that way, you're not going to be as focused on, oh, this is so boring. Oh, this is not important. You'll just get through it. You'll get the grades that you need, and then you'll be where you need to be in the end. So here's a little picture. You're working hard to be a doctor in any class that you're in. So just think that way. And then how to overcome procrastination. The first point is you should set some small goals. This kind of goes back to my planner idea. I like to have everything listed out that I need to get done for the week. And once I've done those things, I try to reward myself, which is the next point, giving yourself a reward because it's going to get you motivated to actually get stuff done. One way that I know people do this is while they're reading or if they're memorizing terms or something, they'll have Skittles or some sort of snack that they like. And after you've done a certain amount of reading, like 3 paragraphs, 2 pages, whatever you want it to be, or you've memorized a certain amount of terms, you give yourself a Skittle. And it sounds stupid, but honestly, it really helps to keep you enjoying the things that you're doing, the things that you're learning, and it prevents you from not wanting to do it. Yes, John.
That's Pavlovian psychology.
Oh, that's really cool. I don't know what that is, but
You know, Pavlov?
Yeah, someone's ready for the MCAT.
bro, he's a freshman. I don't even know what that is. That's sad.
Oh,
But
he taught dogs how to. He
oh,
would
I
ring a
remember now.
bell.
Just didn't know the
He would
name.
ring a bell, give a dog a treat, and
Yeah.
then they would salivate.
Actually,
And
I did that to my dog. I trained
really?
my dog with the bell. So every
Mm-hmm.
time it's time for her to eat, I just ring it and then she comes running. And it actually
That's so
works.
cool. Wow. Wow, go you. Training your dog. That's awesome. But anybody else have anything to say? I have one more point. Okay, well, my last point is if you're having trouble with procrastination, get some accountability. If you have a study partner who's going through the same stuff as you guys can set weekly meetings to go over a certain part of material, and that requires you to actually get it done because you have somebody else counting on you to get it done. So that's super helpful. If it's kind of hard for you to find people to study with, That's okay. You can always use your mom. You can use your roommate. You can use your significant other. Whatever it needs to be. If they care about you, they're going to support your goals. And I'm sure that they wouldn't mind spending a couple minutes saying, hey, have you done your reading for the week? Or whatever you need to do. Yeah, go ahead, Noel.
Also, if any of you guys see us on campus, especially me, I study in GCBC a lot. Just come up and be like, hey, can we study together? I'm really having a hard time focusing, and I'll definitely keep you accountable.
Yeah, me too. I'm usually studying in my room, but if you ever see me, I'd be willing to do that too. All right. So next, we're going to talk about dealing with stress. Oh, the meeting's going to end in 10 minutes. So if it ends, you know what? Why don't I just send the next link to you? Or Noel, can you do that? You have the next Zoom meeting. Can you send that in the chat? Okay, thank you. So dealing with stress. Stress is awful. It's going to make you feel very overwhelmed. But when you get in that state of mind, all you got to do is take a breath, step back, close your eyes, breathe, and reset your mind a little bit. If something's difficult for you, just get up, walk around for a little, take some breaks, maybe go get a snack, maybe get some coffee, call a friend, whatever you need to do. It's really important to take breaks. Otherwise, your mental state is not going to be very good. So breaks are very important. Another thing that you can do to deal with stress is find an outlet. I think one of the most well-known stress outlets is Meredith and Christina's Dance It Out from Grey's Anatomy. If any of you guys seen that, I hope you have. But dancing and getting your body moving is a great way to eliminate stress because your brain will release endorphins, which are your feel-good hormones, pretty much, and it will get you in a more positive mindset. I like to actually go to the gym or run or swim or do something, but dancing, if that's all you have time for, get up and dance and do it. And honestly, it's really going to help you. And then lastly, for dealing with stress, find some way to get encouraged. I like to put Bible verses or motivational quotes on my mirrors just so that I see them often. And it reminds me like, hey, you're doing all right. Like, Jesus is with you. Like, you've got this. It's just really great to have that mindset for me. Yeah, does anybody have ways that they have found encouragement in the past?
This may sound nihilistic, but realizing it's not going to matter in the long run.
It's a good point. Fair point.
Not to be morbid, but
No, I know what you're saying. Like, if you get a B on this assignment, it's not going to be a big deal. I know what you're saying. You're not going to remember that specific moment in the long run.
Also, a verse from the Sermon on the Mount saying it was something along the lines of don't. It's like worrying hasn't lifted one thing off of you, so why do it?
Yeah,
You
that's
know
a
what I'm
good
talking
point.
about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's super true. Okay, so another thing that is super important to being successful in college is sleep. Y'all know that you don't get enough sleep. You're supposed to be sleeping for 7 to 9 hours a day, and I know we often forget that, but it's what you need. And going back to that sleep cycle thing, if you're going to bed at a certain time and you're waking up at a certain time each day, even if it's the weekend, it's going to help your body to just automatically get that time of sleep that it needs. You're going to get tired at 10. You're not going to want to study. So go to bed. And your body's going to wake you up at 6 so you don't waste your whole morning sleeping in. So yes, get those 7 to 9 hours. I think another thing that students often forget, including me, is that your bed equals sleeping. You should not be eating in your bed. You should not be studying in your bed. You should not be watching TV in your bed. That place is for sleeping. And honestly, that goes the same for your study area. You should have an area that is simply for studying for you because it's just going to help you get in that mindset. I'm focused on school now. I'm not worried about anything else. So definitely space your places for their purposes, if that makes sense. And then another important factor of getting a good amount of sleep is having a good setting. It should be, typically, a lot of studies will tell you that having a cool, dark, and quiet room will help you get the best sleep that you can get. And I know when you're living in a dorm, not all of you are right now, but living in a dorm, it's hard because you have roommates that sometimes want to stay up late and keep lights on and be loud. But ways that I have found to kind of overcome that a little bit are getting earplugs if your roommates snore or they're just loud. Sleeping with an eye mask, which may not be the most comfortable thing, but ladies, I've found if you put your hair up in a bun, it typically stays on and it's not as uncomfortable as it is if you don't have your hair up. So, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not a guy. I don't really know, but definitely is helpful. And then also, if it's too hot in your room, you can't do the AC much, get a fan. It will help circulate the air, give it a little bit of more cool temperature that you need to get better sleep. And then, should we switch Zoom meetings so that nobody gets left out? Okay, so we only have 5 minutes left. I'm going to end this meeting. If you guys can please go back to the email and click on the chat that Noelle sent, we'll all join that meeting. Did everybody see that? If not, I don't want you to get left out. Okay. I'm going to now end this. So please, if you don't see the Zoom meeting link, please tell me now. Okay. Stop share and